Hello, my future RN friends. Welcome back to my channel. Once again, this is Beth from Reality Life series, and as for those who know me, I have been making videos for your ATIT's upcoming exam, and I mostly go over with anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. And in this segment, I will be going over 60 terms and pointers. And if you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and click the subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when I have uploaded a new series. I will be making roughly around 5 to 6 series for this segment, and if you wanna be updated, I will have a new feature on my channel, which is the join button. And if you're subscribed and a member of my channel, I will be gladly sharing with you the whole PowerPoint of the 5 series for this video study review for science. So let's go ahead and get started for our science review. Like I said, I will cover anatomy, physiology, and chemistry. Some of the terms here are derived from my notes when I went to anatomy and physiology class and chemistry, and when I went over to my notes, I feel like this will be helpful for future RNs who are going to take their future TEAS exam. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so before I start with the terms that I'm going to go over, I will give you this abstract or idea as to what to expect on this video. So the terms that we will go over are the following: Eukarya, Archea and Bacteria, the scientific method, controlled experiment, theory, distinct characteristic of human, cell, community, independent variable, homeostasis, scientific hypothesis acceptable, and protons, neutrons and electrons of an atom, hydrolysis, DNA, triglyceride, DNA, base pair, covalent bond, hydrogen bonds, monosaccharide, polysaccharide, amino acid, protein, solute, solvent, pH, hydrogen ion concentration, glucose, hydrophobic, lipids, electron transport system, cellular respiration, glycolysis and lactate production, active transport, protein synthesis, movement of cell and cell division, facilitated transport, ATP, cilia, peroxisomes, lysosomes, osmosis, adipocytes, collagen and elastin fibers, gap junctions, the basement membranes, endocrine and exocrine glands, thoracic cavity, muscle contraction, smooth muscle, fibrous connective tissue, nervous tissue and epithelial tissue location, melanin, negative and positive feedback loop, adipose tissue, connective tissue, skeletal system, and thermoregulation. Actually, there's more, but this is all I can write. And also be prepared because like after I'm going over to all of these terms, I will give you exam, like multiple choice exam in the future. Okay, so for now we're just gonna go over with these terms. Okay, and let's get started. Okay, let the study begin. So we have here some terminology or flashcards. You can go ahead and make your own flashcards out of these terms. And like I said, if you join my membership button, I will be glad to share with you guys at least 300 terms that I curated and I written down for all of you who are studying for the ATIT's exam. Okay, number 1, humans belong to the domain Eukarya. Humans belong to the domain Eukarya. Okay, number 2, unicellular organisms which lack of nuclei belong to Archea and Bacteria. So if you encounter this question in the TIS exam, just know that unicellular organisms which lack of nuclei belong to Archea and Bacteria. Okay, number 3. It is a multi-step process gained through the new scientific knowledge. The answer is scientific method. So the scientific method is a multi-step process gained through the new scientific knowledge. Number 4, a type of experiment which is designed and conducted under strictly managed condition is known as controlled experiment. So if you are dealing with experiments, an experiment which is designed and conducted under strictly managed condition is known as controlled experiment. Number 5, a theory is a broad hypothesis reinforced by repetitive experimentation. Again, a theory is a broad hypothesis reinforced by repetitive experimentation. Okay, so next term, one distinct characteristic of human which collectively separates them from other animals is the capability for complex language. So for humans, one distinct characteristic that separates us from other animals, other organisms, is the capability for complex language, like we can speak, other animals cannot. Okay. Next, number 7. When developing a hypothesis, controlled experiments must be used. So when you develop a hypothesis, just know that controlled experiments must be used. Okay, next, number 8 is about cell. A cell is the smallest unit of life that exhibits all the properties of life. So again, a cell is the smallest unit of life that exhibits all the properties of life. So if you have all this information, I'm pretty sure like you will have a greater chance in passing the TIS exam. Okay, I'm not saying that this will come out straight on your exam, but like some of this information will, will be very helpful. Okay, number 9, from a biological standpoint, all organisms living in one particular place is known as community. In other words, the definition for community is when all organisms are living in one particular place. Okay, number 10, the correct step-by-step of scientific method is: first, we have the observation, then the development of hypothesis, then the prediction, and then experimentation, and finally the result. Okay. Then number 11, when making a line graph, the abscissa or the x-axis represents the independent variable. So just know this information because this is really helpful. So when making a line graph, this is in connection to experimentation. The abscissa or the x-axis represents the independent variable, and the y-axis should be the dependent variable, I should say. Homeostasis is the preservation of somewhat stable internal environment. Again, the preservation of somewhat stable internal environment is known as homeostasis. Okay, then number 13, if a scientific hypothesis can be tested and can be proven false, then it is considered acceptable. Okay, again, scientific hypothesis is considered acceptable if it can be tested and can be proven false. Number 14, okay, this is how you identify protons, neutrons, and electrons. Okay, phosphorus has an atomic number of 15 and a mass number of 31. And this statement tells us that phosphorus has 15 protons, 15 electrons, and 16 neutrons. Okay, so same thing. Another example is carbon. A carbon atom consists of 6 protons and 6 electrons and also 6 neutrons, which means a carbon has a mass number of 12. Okay. Next, another example is hydrogen. Hydrogen atom has 1 proton, or I should say 1 proton and 1 electron and 0 neutron. Okay. So that means hydrogen has a mass number of 1. Okay, next number 15. Hydrolysis of ATP to form ADP and PI contributes to protein synthesis. Hydrolysis of ATP to form ADP and PI contributes to to protein synthesis. Okay, this is just good information. Okay, next number 16. DNA is where you can find the instruction for the synthesis of an enzyme. So in the TEAS exam, there's a lot of DNA questions. There's a lot of physiology questions. And it's good to know the information about DNA and like the stranding and stuff like that. So next, DNA is where you can find instructions for the synthesis of an enzyme. Number 17, when dealing with the synthesis of triglyceride, it is important to know that 3 water molecules would be eliminated. Okay, again, when dealing with the synthesis of triglyceride, it is important to know that that 3 molecules water would be eliminated. Okay, next one. You will encounter similar question to this, but not exactly the same, okay? So just similar. If a strand DNA has the sequence TTGACAC, then the complementary strand would be AACTGTG. Why? Because the base pair of thymine is adenine. So thymine, adenine, guanine, cytosine, adenine, thymine, cytosine, guanine, adenine, thymine, and cytosine, guanine. The instructions for the assembly of proteins can only be found in the DNA. Again, the instructions for the assembly of proteins can only be found in the DNA. So when there is when some in the question it is mentioned about proteins, then the answer would be like something with associated with DNA. Next, this is a chemistry question. Covalent bond maintains the primary structure of a protein. Or it's either physiology question or chemistry. Covalent bond maintains the primary structure of a protein. Hydrogen bonds is the easiest way to interrupt a substance by rising the temperature. So if you encounter this term, hydrogen bonds is the easiest way to interrupt a substance by rising the temperature. Okay, so maybe the question would go like this. What kind of bond would be the easiest way to interrupt a substance by rising the temperature? Then your answer would be hydrogen bonds. Then monosaccharide is to polysaccharide, while amino acid is to protein. Again, monosaccharide belongs to polysaccharide, while amino acid belongs to protein. Next, number 23. When you dissolve sugar in water, you know that sugar is considered the solute and water is the solvent. Okay, whatever is being dissolved is called solute, and whatever dissolves the substance is called the solvent. And as we know that water is a universal solvent. Next, number 24. The higher the pH, the lower the hydrogen concentration is present in a substance. For example, bleach with a pH of 13 has lower hydrogen ion concentration compared to water which has a pH of 7 or neutral. Okay, next term is glucose. Glucose is the final product if a molecule of starch is frequently hydrolyzed. So if the question would go this way, what is the final product if a molecule of starch is frequently hydrolyzed? Then the answer would be glucose. Number 26, a hydrophobic substance is something that doesn't like water. An example to this is lipid. So take note that water and lipid or oil are not friends. Oil or lipid is hydrophobic. Oil or fat. Okay? Number 27, oxygen and hydrogen within water molecules form covalent bonds, while hydrogen bonds are produced between different water particles. Okay, oxygen and hydrogen within water molecules form covalent bonds, while hydrogen bonds are produced between different water molecules. Okay, next, an example of an isotopes of carbon are carbon-13 and carbon-14. So they are carbon-13 and carbon-14 are isotopes of carbon. Okay, next, what is the function of microvilli? So microvilli helps increase the surface area of a cell. So microvilli helps increase the surface area of a cell. Then next, information is about water. Water will have the same concentration inside and outside of the cell. So they have the same concentration inside and outside of the cell. Water is. Okay, next, number 31. Electron transport system produces most ATP during the process of cellular respiration. So if you encounter this term, cellular respiration, the answer would be electron transport system or ATP. So this sentence is good to know for your exam. Okay, next, NAD plus and NADH are recycled during cellular respiration. However, they will not appear in the net equation. So NAD plus and NADH are recycled during cellular respiration. However, they will not appear in the net equation. So this is a physiology question. Next, during electron transport system, oxygen plays a role in cell respiration. So in electron transport system, oxygen plays a role in cell respiration. Next, in the absence of oxygen, glycolysis and lactate production can occur within a cell. That's the reason why, like when you go on a heavy workout, you will have a lactate production like more than usual. Okay, you're gonna have sometimes people who are working out so hard will experience muscle spasm. It's because of this one. Okay, next, 35. Active transport, protein synthesis, movement of cell, and cell division require energy while facilitated transport does not. So if the question is does which of the following does not require energy, and then the answer would be facilitated transport. Okay, next, ATP is produced in most cellular work. So when dealing with cellular work, ATP is produced. Next, cilia. Cilia are filamentous structures that help sweep mucus and other internal debris away from the lungs. So again, cilia are filamentous structures that help sweep mucus and other internal debris away from the lungs. Okay, number 38, peroxisomes. Peroxisomes are organelles that are active in the liver cells and detoxify alcohol present in the body. So again, peroxisomes are organelles that are active in the liver cells and helps detoxify alcohol present in the body. On the other hand, lysosomes are organelles that mostly involve in the engulfing and digesting bacteria and cellular debris. Okay, so peroxisomes are liver active in the liver, while lysosomes are mostly involved in engulfing and digesting bacteria and cellular debris. Okay, number 40. When red blood cells are placed in a distilled water, the water will react in the form of swelling as it moves into the cell in the process known as osmosis. So if you have taken your physiology class, you would remember this on your lab where you I don't know, I think we did some experiment on this where we were given some plastic bag and we had to tie one side. I can't remember anymore. Anyway, you'll do this in the lab. You'll find out that the water, okay, when red blood cells are placed in a distilled water, the water will react in the form of swelling as it moves into the cell in the process known as osmosis. And osmosis is referred to as the net diffusion of water across a semi-permeable membrane. Again, osmosis is referred to as the net diffusion of water across a semi-permeable membrane. Next, number 42. When cells carry sodium ions out of the cell against its gradients, the process involves active transport. Okay, when cells carry sodium ions out of the cell against its gradients, the process involves active transport. Okay, next one. This is a good information too. Weight loss can be done by reducing food intake as a result of decreasing the volume of adipocytes. So when adipocytes or fat cells are have decreased in volume, then you should see weight loss in humans. Okay. Okay, next. Connective tissue is a type of tissue containing the collagen and elastin fibers. So connective tissue is a type of tissue containing the collagen and elastin fibers. Okay, next, gap junctions. Gap junctions function as a means of communication for cells in cardiac muscles, making it possible to contract in a synchronized fashion. Okay, so if you see in the test contract in a synchronized fashion, you would automatically think of gap junctions. Okay, number 46. The basement membranes are the only membranes that are not composed of cells. Okay, again, the basement membranes are the only membranes that are not composed of cells. Next, number 47. Endocrine and exocrine glands are classified as epithelial tissue. Okay, so endocrine and exocrine glands are classified as epithelial tissue. Okay, number 48. The thoracic cavity can be found superior to the abdominal cavity. So this is an anatomy topic. The thoracic cavity can be found superior to the abdominal cavity, which means that the abdominal cavity is found inferior to the thoracic cavity. Okay, next, all muscle tissues have the ability to contract. Take note that all muscle tissues have the ability to contract. That's their distinct characteristic. Next, when someone has injury to bone, it heals more quickly than injury to cartilage because bone is known to have a richer blood supply than cartilage. Okay, so again, when someone has injury to bone, it heals more quickly than injury to cartilage because bone is known to have a richer blood supply than cartilage. Okay, number 51. Smooth muscle fibrous connective tissue, nervous tissue, and epithelial tissue can be found in the skin. So if you want to know the location of smooth muscle, fibrous connective tissue, nervous tissue, and epithelial tissue, you want to find them in the skin. You can find them in the skin. Okay, next, number 52, melanin. Melanin is responsible for skin pigmentation. Okay, do not confuse melanin from melatonin. Melanin is for skin pigment, while melatonin is for sleep and wake cycle. Okay, next, number 53, an example to negative feedback loop is when there is a decrease in blood pressure that is observed by the CNS. The CNS then activates a number of changes that will restore the blood pressure to its original state. Okay. When there is a decrease in blood pressure observed in the CNS then activates a number of changes that will restore the blood pressure to its original state. So that's negative feedback. While positive feedback is when the presence of a full bladder activates the bladder to contract. So when you feel like peeing, when you feel like urinating, when a small amount of urine is discharged, this will cause even more contractions, which will then continue emptying the bladder. Another example is childbirth. Childbirth is a positive feedback loop. Okay, adipose tissue is the kind of tissue that stores triglycerides. So again, adipose tissue or fat tissue is the kind of tissue that stores triglycerides. So triglycerides are fat. Okay, next, number 56. Connective tissue is characterized as a significant amount of non-living extracellular material, also known as the matrix. So when you see connective tissue, it is characterized as a significant amount of non-living extracellular material, also known as the matrix. Okay, number 57, you can find this question as a multiple choice. For example, okay, so 57, the muscular, circulatory, integumentary, and nervous system are involved in thermoregulation, or the regulation of heat, but the skeletal is not, because the skeletal system functions as primary support and movement in body structure. Okay, number 58, muscle tissues are composed of cells that are meant to shorten or contract, which are helpful for movement and insulation. Okay, as if you remember the previous flashcards or terms, I said muscle tissues have the ability to contract. So next, number 59, connective tissue supports the organ which are softer against gravity, and also it aids to connect the parts of the body together, hence the word connective. It connects parts of the body. Okay, number 60, this is going to be the last number for today, for now. Exocrine glands secrete their products into a hollow organ known as duct. So exocrine glands have ducts, while endocrine glands are ductless glands, and they secrete substances known as hormones into the bloodstream. Okay, so okay guys, thank you so much for being with me, and I hope you enjoyed this video and this will be helpful for your future ATIT's exam. So next time I will see you on my second series for this segment. This is Beth from Reality Life series, and don't forget to like and subscribe.